Hello, we are in Chapter 6, Section 6.3, the solutions to quadratic equations. In this video, we're gonna go over the discriminant, which is the expression under the radical in the quadratic formula, b squared minus 4ac. We will label it as d. Here is the quadratic formula to remind you, now with d under the square root. So, if d equals 0, and the square root of 0 is also 0, we only get negative b over 2a, so one rational solution to the quadratic equation. If d is greater than 0, the equation will have two real solutions, because the square root of a positive number is a real number. Now, if d itself is the square of a rational number, then the square root can simplify to a rational number, and after all simplifications, we will get just two rational solutions. If that d is not the square of a rational number, though, then we're gonna get two irrational solutions. Finally, if d is less than 0, then we're gonna get two complex non-real solutions, because the square root of a negative number is a non-real complex number. It's also important to acknowledge the visual interpretation of the information that we just found in terms of the number and type of solutions of the quadratic equation. What we want to look at is the orientation and the alignment of the parabola in all cases of the discriminant being positive, 0, or negative, and then also the leading coefficient being positive or negative, because the leading coefficient is determining the orientation of the parabola, whether it opens up or down. So, if the leading coefficient is positive and the parabola opens up, then if d is greater than 0 and we have two real solutions, the parabola will simply cross the x-axis at those two real solutions. They will be the x-intercepts. In case of the discriminant equal 0, we get only one rational solution. That means the parabola will only touch the x-axis right at its vertex, which is also that rational solution x-intercept, at least in terms of the first coordinate. And finally, if the discriminant is less than 0 and we don't have any real solutions, we will have no x-intercepts. And as you can see, the parabola will be completely above the x-axis with no x-intercepts. And then if the leading coefficient is negative, then the parabola will open down. So we'll have similar situations depending on the discriminant. If it's positive, the parabola will cross the x-axis at the real zeros. If the discriminant is 0, the parabola will only touch the x-axis at the vertex, actually. And then, if the discriminant is less than 0, and there will be no x-intercepts because there are no real solutions to the equation, then the parabola will be completely below the x-axis.